Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday night edition of the Philly Guy Speaks. Joe Quills here with you with another fun episode with yours truly. Got a couple of stories here I'm going to talk about, and those that are listening after the fact, I encourage you to come on over to twitch.tv/Joe Quills and come join in on the fun. And I'm open-ended here, so if you want to interact with me in the chat, or even if I open things up so that anybody can join in, I could do that as well. Gonna have some fun here on Tuesday night. Got a couple of topics here for you. First, a athlete is being considered for the vice presidency of the United States. I'll tell you who and what and why and all that other stuff. And pretty much you can eliminate about 95% of active athletes because they're under the age of 35. Little civics lesson for you. You got to be 35 to be the president or vice president. There's a school in California that is playing in a national tournament, even though their school no longer exists. I'll explain that as well. So a lot of stuff going on here. Me finished up a 2-day stretch of working. I'm off tomorrow, thank God. May take a run up to Parks. So all depends on if I get up early enough, because if I get up early enough, I can go. If not, I guess I got to do my laundry. But got a lot of stuff to talk about here. A lot of stuff about tomorrow, and just a reminder, I will be on the Bleacher Brothers show on Thursday night, so you can just download the Tony Bruno Sports Network app, and you can catch me between 8 and 10 p.m. I do not know if it's hour 1 or hour 2 yet. I haven't talked to AJ about this. But we will be talking the Kentucky Derby Trail, and some interesting things that came up so far during this year's rite of passage to the Kentucky Derby. And who knows, I might throw a pick or two here, a horse or two that I might like in the Derby. Now, granted, you might want to fade them, because if you're looking at my picks, Quills Picks Winners on BleacherBrothers.com, I picked another horse that finished second, and I had a feeling that the favorite was going to win that race. He did, and I gave the reason why, and I just said, you know what, screw it, let's play beat the favorite, which I wasn't able to do today. So, but all that and more coming up here. But first, the big news. We are in day 2 of the legal tampering. The NFL season operating year begins at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. And a lot of craziness, and probably even more crazy than in past years. But Howie Roseman is not playing around this year. Today alone, Devontae Parker signed with the Eagles. 1 year, $4.69 million. Yes, 69. You gotta like that. If SJ was here, we'd giggle about that. Also, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who bashed the Eagles last year after he got signed by Detroit, is back with the Eagles on the 3-year deal. I guess he had to do some sort of a mea culpa. Had to eat some crow, maybe some lion feces or something like that, but he's back with a 3-year deal. And the big news yesterday was that the Philadelphia Eagles are signing Saquon Barkley to a 3-year deal for almost $38 million. And I think it was $28 million guaranteed. Me personally, I do not like the deal. Now, granted, I don't like going after Henry from Tennessee who signed with Baltimore today. Why is the first name escaping me? This is what happens when you get old. So, Derrick Henry. Yeah, he was ranked the 52nd free agent on the board according to CBS Sports. Saquon Barkley was 16th. But also the Eagles shored up the defense a little bit. They got Bryce Huff, an edge rusher, 3 years, $51.1 million. I mean, crazy money. CJ GJ is with the Eagles, 3 years, up to $33 million. I think there's all kinds of things that go on with that. But the big ones were the prize free agent, if you want to call it a prize, considering that he's coming off of a major injury. Kirk Cousins signs a 4-year deal for $180 million. Now, I'm shocked that, one, he got $180 million. Two, I'm shocked that, he didn't go for the all-guaranteed contract like he had with Minnesota the last 6 or 7 years. So he's going down south. And I will not be surprised if, let's say, the Falcons win the division next year. Now, granted, it is like your, just like your, Jesus Christ, his name's escaping me too. Hold on. It's like Johnny Knoxville almost winning the Special Olympics in the movie The Ringer, even though he did. But by the way, happy birthday, Johnny Knoxville! And if you follow me on Facebook, I gotta show it. I can't sit here and laugh my ass off and you not know why. So let me go here. Then we'll go over to here. There you go. This is the sick people that I find on Facebook. Happy birthday to Jackass star Johnny Knoxville. Anyways, let's get back to me here. Hi. But, that's the stupid stuff that I post from time to time and share and stuff like that. And I'll share it in SJ's Discord. And eventually I'm going to get my Discord up and running. It's just that, with work and everything else, it's been, oh my God. But it is going to be coming up, and it's going to be a little bit of everything for the podcast, my online radio station, which is going to be back soon. You name it, I'm going to have it on there, and I'm going to even try to incorporate the Bleacher Brothers shows. I'll say, hey, if you want a section of my Discord, go right ahead. So, but it's been it's been Fast and Furious in the NFL. It's not a Fast and Furious movie, but like some of the names in the top 10. Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta. Chris Jones gets a 5-year deal for $160. Josh Allen got franchise tagged by Jacksonville. Justin Madubuike, I hope I pronounced that right. I know I'm not. 4 for $98. Daniel Hunter gets 2 for 49 with $48 million guaranteed from Houston. You couldn't guarantee that last million, you cheap. L'Jarius Sneed was franchise tagged, but he's looking for a trade. Jalen Jennings stays with Chicago, 4 for 76. Brian Burns traded to the Giants and got a 5-year, $150 million deal. Antoine Winfield Jr. stays with the Bucks on a franchise tag. T. Higgins was franchise tag, but he wants to be traded. Apparently, with him, he said that there hadn't been any negotiations over the last year for a new contract. But no matter how he feels, it's just that you can only pay you can only pay a couple of people top dollar before that salary cap comes into play. Just some other ones here of note here. Baker Mayfield is staying with the Bucks, 3 years, $115 million. Mike Evans stays, 2 for 52. Calvin Ridley is still on the board. Who's going to take a gamble on him? But Josh Jacobs ends up in Green Bay, 4 for 48. Patrick Queen goes to the arch rival Steelers from the Ravens. Linebacker Willie Gay goes from Kansas City to New Orleans. And Derrick Henry's 30 years old. So, if you want to look at it, Henry versus Saquon Barkley, the Eagles do get a running back that's 3 years younger, but I'm a little weary about the injuries. So, Tony Pollard goes to Tennessee for 3 years, $24 million. DeAndre Swift goes from the Eagles to the Bears, 3 for 24. Just some things here that are worth mentioning. Austin Eckler goes to the Commanders, 2 for 11.4. Darnell Mooney goes to Atlanta. He'll be a target. And here's a little irony here for you. If you remember the Eagles' offensive lineman, John Runyon, he had his battles and then some with the guy with the buck teeth. My brain is Michael Strahan. My brain's fried, people, so it's not old age. It's just me dealing with a bunch of people that really... Anyways. So I'm just looking at something here. John Runyon's not in the Hall of Fame. Okay. But John Runyon had his battles that were epic between himself and Michael Strahan. Well, his son, John Runyon, is going to the New York Giants. So I when I heard that that Junior was going to the New York Giants, I thought that was an interesting move, to say the least. Just if you know the past history of the Runyon family, and I met John Runyon once at a St. Joe's Prep football game. To say he's 6'8" is an understatement. I mean, he was like 7 foot to me, but I mean, we were talking about this the other night on a stream. I said, in basketball, they'll lie about your height. They'll make you a couple inches taller, especially in high school and college. But, you know, John Runyon, the father, is a legitimate 6'8". And I'm like this, talking to him. Hey, John, how's it going? How's the weather up there? But, Maddie, welcome in. Just going through some of those NFL moves here. And I think I'm missing a couple of Eagles moves here. And, with everything going so fast and furious and me working on a million different things while I'm working on top of it, and, I just couldn't keep up with everything because, but yeah, there is a lot. And technically, they are not official until 4 o'clock tomorrow because 4 o'clock is the start of the business year. So, so that will be the case. Once 4 o'clock hits, you'll officially have Saquon Barkley with the Eagles. You'll have all different things. Josh Jacobs to Green Bay, a couple more deals. And everything I mentioned, the ones I highlighted here. So, but in terms of the Eagles, and before I get to that, I do want to mention one thing. Even though this is the Philly Guy Speaks podcast, the Philly Guy Speaks podcast is more about the name with me being a Philly guy than it is talking about Philly sports. I can go a couple of shows where I do not talk about Philly sports at all, and that's fine. For those that are listening for the first time or watching for the first time, if there's a Philly story, I start in the Philly centric, and then I work my way out. And sometimes, if it works that there's important national stories, I bring it into Philadelphia if there's a Philadelphia story. So it isn't exactly, it's more the name than anything else. It's kind of like Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar, Five Below. They're more of a corporate entity name now than being a dollar store or a $5 or less store. So, and that's the one thing when people started pissing and moaning that, oh, well, I just got this at the dollar store and it cost me $1.25 now. Oh, that damn Biden inflation and blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, anybody that's not a nitwit would know that it was going to come eventually. And you find out that Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, Five Below, they're all corporate names now as opposed to just being a dollar store. But it is what it is. So now on to what I think of the Saquon Barkley move. I admit I'm a little more biased because DeAndre Swift went to my high school. Now, granted, it's about 25 years difference in the graduation years, or 20, whatever it is. I'm not going to start counting with my fingers and toes because I'm going to run out of fingers and toes. Antonio Alfonseca, he probably could count with his fingers and toes because he had that sixth finger hanging on the side there. But seriously, I'm a little upset because I thought DeAndre Swift was a serviceable running back, and he didn't really have a major injury this year because he had injuries and was banged up a lot in Detroit the last couple of years. So, and seeing that DeAndre Swift signed with the Bears on Monday morning, signed because he can't officially sign until Wednesday, I thought, shit. And by the way, 1026, congratulations. I thought, I guess the Howie Roseman thing that he gets running backs on the cheap, He'll draft somebody, said they'll be at a cost controlled salary for 4 years or 5 years, depending on when you draft them. Or you get like a Rashard Penny, who didn't do dick last year. Or you get DeAndre Swift, which, was a bit of a steal for a while. It's just that, he's one and done here in Philadelphia. And I would have rather had him over Saquon Barkley because of the whole coming home thing. But, I understand it. And when you compare it to Derrick Henry, you don't realize that Derrick Henry's 30 years old until you pull up that article that I was reading off of from CBS Sports. Now, I'm a little leery about the deal. Now, 3 years puts him into until he's 30 years old. He has been injured. He had the major knee injury. He had other injuries along the way. And if SJ was here, she could type all the injuries that he had that I'm forgetting that's not knee related. And he was out for a couple of games this year, I believe. But when you look at this offense right now, and I'm looking at it unbiased now, if he plays to his potential like he was his potential in New York, and he had some good years there, I'm not going to lie, but he really, I just am wary of it because what NFL teams do is you have them for 4 or 5 years, you run them into the ground, and you say, take a hike. Now, Saquon has been in the league 6 years because he had a 5-year deal, because he was a first-round draft pick. He got the salary. He got franchise tagged. He tried to get out of it. Blah blah blah. You know the whole deal. But and they probably should have franchised Danny Dimes so that they could have a first round pick and not have to worry about Danny Dimes now. But but that was a no-win situation because you got somebody who was a malcontent and all that. So, but also, Saquon will have a better offensive line, and I think you could potentially have a different type of a Eagles offense with Saquon just pounding the ball, because he may be the football equivalent of how I felt after the Bryce Harper deal when he signed with the Phillies 5 years ago, or is it 6? Whatever it is. But anyways, I said you're probably going to get 6 or 7 good years out of Bryce Harper. Well, we're in year 6 now, I believe. You may get a few more. Now, granted, I would prefer him in right field as opposed to first base, but that's a story for another day. But I'm just wary that if the wheels come off of Saquon Barkley's career, they're going to come off as quickly as Usain Bolt in the 100-yard dash. You're going to see him just go right down. And it's going to look like it's a bad deal. And you got dead money on the cat now. Who cares at this point? But all right, a little over exaggeration. But I just think that this has a potential of being a very bad deal. But granted, you could also look at this as a deal where you have that pounding running back where you can give him the ball, he'll wear the defense down, that running back that they needed at the end of games. Now, granted, I don't think there's many runners like him. Derrick Henry, one of them. But Derrick Henry's been in the league a long time too. But you could potentially see a precipitous drop off in Saquon's production even this year, because the life of a running back is not what it used to. And then on top of that, with the way that the rookie salary cap is, and the slot placing of rookie salaries and stuff like that, you know, you're usually playing for your second contract when you're a rookie. And in his case, you're going to be seeing that drop. Now, could it come in year 2 instead of year 1? Possible. Could it come in year 3 and not years 1 and 2? Possible. But I'm a little weary about that, and I'm not going to say I told you so if it happens, but I probably will. And I'll probably, and I said it today on the Tony Bruno show in his chat. I said, yeah, and he's also from Penn State. And you know me, I have a extreme hatred for Penn State after the whole Jerry Sandusky thing and his enabler, Joe Paterno. But, you know, in some ways, you see the midnight green on him, and it's like, okay. Now, Tiki Barber was talking trash, and if you remember Tiki Barber, he's a failed correspondent on the Today Show on NBC. He's a failed NBC sports guy. He ended up at WFAN The Fan, and I get it. He's doing afternoon drive. He's got to talk smack and whatever. But, you know, Tiki Barber said to Saquon in the media, "You're dead to me." Okay, little overstated, but, you know, I mean, and I think if I did see part of Dan Patrick's interview with Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber was on there, and it looked like, and you know, it's mainly because he's staying in the division. If he had gone to Tennessee, if he had gone to Houston, had he gone to somewhere in the AFC, good luck to you. But because you go to one of your arch rivals, and I don't know where they are on the rankings of rivals in the Eagles' perception, because the Eagles' perception is Eagles Dallas are number 1. I imagine Eagles Giants are 2, and Eagles Washington is 3 of the division opponents. You could probably put San Francisco ahead of the Giants right now, because Eagles won the NFC Championship against them two seasons ago. Niners got them back in the regular season last year, and the Niners, they started the whole slide that the Eagles had. You know, you could argue that it started with Buffalo when Buffalo exposed the defense for what it was over the last 6 weeks too. So, but I'll tell you what. You know, and it's weird to say live up to his potential for Saquon Barkley, because you know it's going to come. You know he's going to go right down the toilet. But you hope you can get a bunch of production out of him. And I've been saying, oh, this is DeMarco Murray Jr. He came from Dallas, didn't do a damn thing for the Eagles with Chip Kelly. Now, granted, that was probably a Chip Kelly thing in his offense, as opposed to, Saquon, but whatever. But you look at that offense right now. You have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and Devontae Parker may be a 3, he may be a 4. He just may be roster filler right now who, you're signed for one for $4.69 million. By the way, that's a nice number again. You got to see what you gotta see these guys in training camp and OTAs, and people are going to get hurt all the time as well. But I would not be surprised. With the Eagles getting a couple of guys on defense as well, and you could probably get a couple of guys in the draft who are going to be impact players right from the start, and the injuries will. Most of the guys that were injured will be back that are still under contract by the Eagles. Even though you will say, the Eagles collapsed last year. If you remember Jason Kelsey, and I played this video a couple of weeks ago when he retired, in the locker room, in the offensive lineman's room, hungry dogs run faster. And not only do you have a hungry dog, you got an angry dog that basically got beat up the last 6 weeks of the season and in the wild card game. And there's going to be a lot of bad blood in their mouths, whatever you want to call it, because of the fact that you were trending towards returning to the Super Bowl, and then it all fell apart. And a lot of times, the team that loses the Super Bowl, they usually have that at the beginning of the year. The Eagles had it at the end of the year. And, and no two seasons are the same. And you never know. You could see this team going 14-3, 13-4, or you could see them going 8-9. Anything is possible. It's all about when that schedule comes out in May. And just to let you know, even though we're 6 months away from the season starting, I will give you my predictions before the start of the season. So it isn't like I'm just going to say, it isn't like, oh, I am picking the Eagles and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. No. What I do is I pick every single game. And a couple years ago, when I was on Funkin' Fantasy with Luigi Curto, and he was still doing that show, I shocked the hell out of him because I had a spreadsheet on my iPad, and I had it all ready to go, and he's like, oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, he didn't think I'd be that prepared. He just think I'd be winging it. No, not with something like that. Football's the only sport where you can give them a win dog, give them a lost dog. But be on the lookout for that come September. But now, it may be that an NFL player may not be able to go to camp because he might be a bit preoccupied. And that is because there is a story floating around that Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers has been speaking pretty continuously with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. about a potential vice presidential run. Now, he's supposed to be the starting quarterback for the Jets this year. I imagine his Achilles is going to be perfectly healed by then because it'll be about a year. He's apparently considering the addition of vice presidential candidate to his list of responsibilities. The former MVP is at the top of the list of potential running mates for third-party candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who confirmed his interest to the New York Times. Also, a top candidate is former professional wrestler and former Minnesota Governor Jesse the Body Ventura, who is reportedly another top candidate for the job. But now the interest has reportedly taken the form of Kennedy speaking pretty continuously, quote unquote, with Rodgers over the last month. The domain name KennedyRogers.com was also reportedly registered via a GoDaddy host last week. Now, or is this URL also possibly like somebody, when the Washington football team was changing its name to the Commanders, you know, their nicknames got leaked and somebody bought all the domains. And also with the domains, all you got to do is go NFL.com/Commanders, I think it is, you know, because it'll redirect to NFL.com/Eagles, I believe, for the Eagles. But now, Kennedy is considered a fringe candidate who receives attention for his promotion of conspiracy theories and vaccine skepticism. Now, me personally, I will tell you guys, I don't talk politics usually, but because this has an intertwining with the sports world, yeah. But the one thing I will tell you guys is, you know, we can talk about anything you want. I just don't want to deal with the right-wing BS, the left-wing BS. You know, I'm the type of person that believes what I want to believe, and I'm going to hold it close to the chest. And the reason why is I don't want to piss off everybody on the right because something leans this much to the left, and that's about 2 inches. And you'll have the left pissed off because you lean that far to the right. I'd rather hold things close to the vest and, you know, make you wonder. Like, for example, I can tell you right now that when April comes around for the Pennsylvania primary, even though it doesn't mean anything because Trump's all that's left on the Republican side, Biden got the nomination in the Democratic side. You know, you got the matchup already. And unlike 8 years ago with Clinton and Sanders, they went all the way to the National Committee, the DNC. 2020 was a little bit more of a fight than it was this year, obviously. Even if you compare Republican 2024 to Democrat 2020. But, you know, it's just that I'm going to be getting my ballot in the mail, and I'm going to be filling out, okay, Lou Stool. You know, some names like in some of the races that are uncontested. You know, just little things like that, just to joke around, you know. And like I joked around in, you know, like for example, in the city of Philadelphia, I had no idea who to vote for the sheriff's department because it was an off election year. It wasn't, well, it was the city mayor's race. So I voted for Reggie Hammond. And if you don't know who Reggie Hammond is, I encourage you to watch 48 Hours and you'll get the reference. But going back to the story here, now that conspiracy theory and vaccine skepticism is an area where both RFK Jr. and Rodgers are quite publicly in alignment, as Rodgers has become increasingly notorious in the football world for using his public appearances to make controversial and sometimes completely outright false statements, such as when he implied that Jimmy Kimmel was on the Jeffrey Epstein list. Then Kimmel's statement earned scorn from ESPN the network that aired it on the Pat McAfee show, and whose owner employs Kimmel. With Kennedy, however, Rodgers would be running with a person who has acknowledged taking 2 flights on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. Now we all know the Aaron Rodgers was traded last offseason. 4 snaps, blows out his Achilles, season over. He has as many passing yards as I had last year. He's remaining under contract with the Jets for 2 more years. Most recently taking a pay cut last summer to alleviate some of the pressure on the team's salary cap sheet. Now, he's 40 years old. He faced retirement speculation over the last few years, and this most recent news will only make the noise louder. Running for vice president is a full-time job. No shit. Even for third-party candidates. Now, this isn't the first time that he was looking at a significant job outside of football. If you remember when they were trying out hosts after Alex Trebek died, Rodgers made a bid to become the permanent host at Jeopardy! It went to Ken Jennings and Maya Biala. Ken Jennings hosts it full time now. But if Aaron Rodgers says, screw this, I'm running for political office, especially your first political office being vice president, that's, well, then again, look at what Trump did. The Jets did sign Tyrod Taylor to be Rodgers' backup in 2 years, $18 million. So they kind of have a stopgap measure in place. They do have Zach Wilson, who's probably going to get cut because who the hell will want him at his salary? I think he gets cut and then he goes somewhere, maybe even the California Penal League, because he stole money from the Jets basically. But that was something that popped up on my phone about 7 o'clock. But it does. But once you read the article and you realize that RFK is a conspiracy theorist, especially with vaccines and stuff like that, it makes sense. I believe Jesse Ventura is in that same boat, so that would be fine as well. So you got to deal with twice the BS with that. And before you say that, you're a vaxxer and blah blah blah, I am doing what's best for me, and nobody other than my doctor can tell me, what I should or shouldn't do. I may say to somebody in regards to a medical thing, you should do this. And it should be should, not you must. Or come up with some bullshit theory that Aaron Rodgers has and RFK Jr. has or whatever. I just, I'm going to say, hey, you do you, I do me. Let's just respect each other and go from there. So, that's me in a nutshell. But one more story here to share with you, and this is a weird story. Now, not only do you have the NCAA, you also have NAIA. And I'm familiar with NAIA because the first time around in college, back in the early 90s, and yes, I am old, Holy Family University played in NAIA, which is a separate governing body from the NCAA. Now, one thing I said years ago, because UNLV at the time with Jerry Tarkanian and everything like that, I said, if UNLV jumped to NAIA, NAIA could make billions off that, because once you have one jump ship, it's possible everybody else does, like lemurs. Whee, look what I get to do. Something like that. But um, but basically, for the most part, NAIA is small colleges in the middle of nowhere. For the most part, um, back in my day, you had Alvernia, you had Beaver College, which became Arcadia, Misericordia, Wilmington College, Philadelphia College of Pharmacy, which became University of Sciences, then got bought out by St. Joe's. Um, Newman College, I believe, was NAIA at the time. You used to have a whole bunch of colleges in this area that were NAIA District 19, but little by little, schools went to NCAA Division III. Holy Family and Pharmacy, which became University of Sciences, and a few other schools like uh, Wilmington, which became Wilmington University, and a few others went to NCAA Division II. And that's where Holy Family is now, Wilmington, and a few others. Now, NAIA, they have their national championships in basketball coming up, and they do things all at one site. And it used to be that the NAIA tourney would be in Kansas City every year, and the first round would be 16 games in one day. But with NAIA, you don't have TV timeouts or anything like that until you get to the finals, because it wasn't on TV. But Antelope Valley in Lancaster, California, they received a government order to cease operations of all degree programs because of financial mismanagement. However, just before his school was set to shut down for good, Antelope Valley's men's basketball coach, Jordan Mast, said he was happy that the men's and women's basketball teams will get the opportunity to finish the year after raising $40,000 to pay for their postseasons. But they will not have a campus to call home when they return after this tournament. Antelope Valley's men's team is the 6th seed that will face number 11 Huntington of Indiana in the first round in Glendale, Arizona on March 15th. The women's team, which qualified after it won the California Pacific Conference regular season title, is a 13 seed and will face 6-seeded Southern Oregon and Ashland, Oregon on March 15th. Now, I think they do have Division I and Division II in NAIA still, but NAIA shrinks and then they go to NCAA Division III. But Antelope Valley, they're playing for a school that no longer exists, but they are being given an opportunity to finish their season because of the timing of the cease operations. Now, Mast had told ESPN, unlike most teams this year who might be happy or upset with their seeding or matchup, we are feeling beyond blessed. There we go. We're blessed. We got all this. We got all this stuff going on, but we're blessed. We're blessed that we even get to compete. The players have been through a lot as our school has officially announced it is closing. They have still not communicated to any of us or the students with their plans or what their plans are for helping students find a new school or housing or finish their degree. The burden has fallen on the students, family, and our staff and others in the community that care about the well-being of these young men and women. And you're seeing some colleges getting bought out, some smaller colleges. I know in my case, in my area, I mentioned University of Sciences got bought out by St. Joe's. Philadelphia College, Philadelphia Textile, they changed their name to Philadelphia University, and then they changed to Jefferson because Jefferson bought into the school. But they still exist. It's just under a different name. Cabrini University, which is a Division III athletics program, but also a regular school too. They got bought out by Villanova, and I think they're going to be the Cabrini campus of Villanova, but Cabrini's not going to exist anymore. And there's still questions about that, but the thing is, like they're saying here, the school has not communicated to any of us or the students what their plans are for helping students find a new school. I do believe it is the student who has to take on that challenge. I didn't transfer right away. I transferred to Drexel after credits sitting there for like 10 years. But it's just I think what they mean by that is, how are we going to get our transcripts to get into another school, if we can get into another school, because they may just see the Antelope Valley insignia, and they'll just say, no, we're not taking them. All right, you want to come to our school? Yeah, but we're not taking your credits. You're going to start all over. I wouldn't be surprised that happened too, but now they did say, but Antelope Valley officials told the coaches at the school that the team seasons would be canceled because of the pending closure of the campus due to financial difficulties, and they would not be allowed to participate in the NAIA tourney. Now, they knew they were in trouble when they only received 25% of their normal paychecks last month. Now, they're a salary, coaches are salary, so it isn't like you're working at a supermarket making $15 an hour. And I'm sure there's going to be stuff going on with that I'm not going to see. But the school agreed to allow Mass to raise the money to finish the year for the men's and women's teams, but advised him the athletes would be removed from their dorms and barred from on-campus athletic facilities, giving some members of the teams just days to scramble to attempt to find housing and a new place to practice. The predicament went viral. The GoFundMe got $40,000 within 72 hours, extending the basketball season for both teams. Then they made a deal to continue practicing in their gym, but he's still unsure of the next steps after the school official shutdown. The seasons of other teams on campus were canceled mid-season because of the school situation. The baseball team did start out 9-6, so, but I mean, it is one thing to see your school close, and now I saw my grade school closed years ago, but it wasn't while I was there. I was graduated a long time, and it became a charter school. Then it became then they knocked it down, and then they made it into a nursing home type facility, but whatever. But this is something extreme where they said, no, you got to shut down that school now. And, I mean, obviously there's misappropriation of funds, and you just can't do that. I mean, but the tough part is you're in the middle of a semester. I imagine that they're on a semester system. I mean, they may be in a quarterly, I don't know, but I mean, Drexel uses quarters. Holy Family uses semesters, but you're talking about middle of the semester. Oh, no more school. We're closed. Get out. But that is something that I saw that was very weird, and it was really worth looking at here. Um, so just to give you guys a heads up, and I said it earlier in the show, I will be on Bleacher Brothers Thursday night. Go to bleacherbrothers.com or download the Tony Bruno Sports Network app. I'm gonna try to get the videos, to get the links on my Twitter, on Discord, whatever. But I'll so you get to see me talk about the Kentucky Derby as we enter the last couple of races before we find out who the 20 horses with the most points are, and who will be the 4 that are the also eligibles as we get closer to that first Saturday in May. And who knows, maybe I'll actually pick a winner. Who knows? But either way, so I am a little light on stories. I only did 3 tonight, and that's fine. But we are getting closer to the baseball season. I have a fantasy baseball draft on Monday. Yeah, I'm totally not prepared. No wonder why I finished last year. But so this is going to be a short podcast. I do want to thank everybody for taking the time to join me tonight. Maddie, thank you for joining me. And thank you for those that are listening and watching after the fact. Do appreciate everybody. And we'll do it again on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. And I did update my Twitch page at twitch.tv/JoeQuills. I did put my schedule up there that I'm starting at 10 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This Thursday will probably may not start till 10:15. And that's only because I don't know if I'm going to be first hour or second hour on Bleacher Brothers. So, but either way, we will be talking about that. We will be talking about the weird incident that occurred at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday. And I'm going to have an Uncle Ernie update. Uncle Ernie is the unofficial horse of Bleacher Brothers. I declared that. And A.J. Johnson, who's the leader of Bleacher Brothers, he talks to the owner of Uncle Ernie, and we've been following him ever since over the last year and a half or so. So I do want to thank everybody for joining me tonight, whether it's live or after the fact, and we'll do it live again Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, maybe 10:15. We'll see. So that is it for now. I do want to thank everybody, and I will catch you on Thursday for another edition of Philly Guy Speaks. And just a reminder, this is part of Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Check bleacherbrothers.com for all your sports needs, and also my articles for Quills Picks winners.